Hey, welcome
everybody
to the Spatially Aware Podcast. I'm super excited. Joy! We made it to another
We're
one.
back.
That's right. In our gorgeous personas that y'all all love looking at. Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Joy!
gosh.
It feels good, girl. How are you feeling today on this beautiful Friday?
I am feeling incredible. I'm so glad to be back, and I cannot wait to get into this interview to speak with our special guest.
Yes. And I'm excited because, you know, your persona looking extra delicious today. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about that a little bit because that's all a part of an update. But now it just feels good to be back in the building with all the peace. Let's get some shout outs real quick. Well, we got some people already tuning in. We got El Michelle Media saying, hola.
Hey, El.
What you say,
Hola.
El? What you say, El? Thank you for tuning in. Q Creator with awesome. What's good? What's
Hey
good?
there, Q.
Alex VR with the trillion fire emojis. My gosh, man. Like that's what I'm talking about. Love you, brother. Love you, brother. Look, he said those personas are looking pretty good. That's right. That's right. And look, we got the other half of Between Realities in the building. Shout out to our fam. Skiva in the building. What up? Yeah, man. Oh, this is gonna be a dope show. We got the right people in here. We got the right people in here. All right, but let's go ahead and get into it because we have a special guest we're gonna be getting into in just a moment. But welcome everybody back to the Spatially Aware Podcast, where our whole mission is to help to unveil the world of computing beyond boundaries. Okay, so we're gonna have a good time. Joy jumped in. She went to go get her a quick little snack, and now Joy is back. There she go. She went and got a quick little snack. It's okay. She wanted to make sure she was back for this awesome, incredible news that we're going to be talking about right now. That's right. So real quick, we wanted to go over just a little bit of news. So visionOS 1.1 just dropped. Okay.
Woo!
Apple has been beta testing this for a little bit. And so they just dropped this crazy update. And Joy, let's talk about some of the things that they can see. Well, for one, the personas, okay? You want to talk a little bit about your persona journey, Joy?
My persona journey has been horrible. And I really don't care for what it looks like right now. But yeah, it's here.
Listen, everybody in the chat, I need y'all to get some hearts. Tell Joy she looks absolutely gorgeous because
I don't need that.
Because she does. So that's not the only update. They have improved rendering for eyesight. Me and Joy laughed so much about this part because we were like, we never, even though we have two headsets, we never see each other. She's in her room. I'm in my room. I never see her eyesight. I never see her eyes. We're always in the space together, or we're doing a show like this. So it's like, that's great, Apple. You know, there you go. Improved hair and makeup appearance for the persona. Improved neck and mouth representation, which I could definitely admit to seeing better mouth representation here. A few other things.
Yeah, they haven't mastered the dreads thing yet, so you can't really see my dreads. It's kind of look like I got matted hair and whatnot. So, they still working on it.
But Alex said, dude, you already know. Look, he got it. He said, you already know. Look at that with the hard eyes. You already know. But also one really good thing too is just stability updates for sure. Like, I can tell you, Joy been in here, we've been in here, because the next topic we're going to talk about is a little bit about how much time we spend in this device. But 1.0 was, heck, it was a buggy. It was a buggy one.
It was buggy.
It was buggy. There was a few times that we boxed it up completely and was on our way to Apple's saying, Apple, I don't know what you're doing, man, but we this is not what we was expecting, okay? But then we played a game of Uno and we took it back in the house. So a lot of great updates. So if you have a Vision Pro, make sure to go ahead and download that update today. Yeah. And look, El Michelle said, you look great, Joy. The tech just needs to catch up. That's right, to the gorgeousness.
Thank you, El.
To the gorgeousness of Joy. And speaking of catching up, man, we spent the entire month building up to this incredible review yet none review
Not
of the
review.
Apple Vision Pro. And we just want to stress. We want to stress this that it took a lot. You know, a lot of people have been hitting us up.
Yes.
Joy, look, go ahead and say what you gotta say, because it took a lot. It took a lot.
It did take a lot. It took a lot of trial and error. It took a lot of trying not to throw it out the window, getting frustrated and whatnot. Because I guess per se for me, because of like my vision with having the contact lenses and everything, and then after having the lenses on here, and then it's just a whole bunch. So yeah, it was a lot, but we got through it.
Yeah, we got through it. You know, I gotta say, one of the hardest things was originally trying to figure out, could we recommend this device to someone? Like, who would we? A lot of people's hitting us up saying,
Yeah.
who can we recommend this to? And I was like, I personally can't. And a lot of people thought it was a controversial thing, but I kind of said, and Joy said, and we came together and said, we can't really recommend this for anybody at the moment, and it's not because we don't believe developers won't benefit from it. We don't believe that there's nobody that it's an audience for. It's great media consumption device, but every single tech reviewer was giving
And
you
I
the
think
tech
developers
specs and,
need to have it too. If they're creating an
Yeah.
app on this for this platform, I definitely think that they should have it as well. But as far as the regular consumer person, everyday person,
Yeah.
no, not yet.
And so that's what this video was for. So a lot of people might have looked at the video and thought we were talking to VR people, XR people, people who are early adopters. That's not who we were talking to. We were talking to the normal consumer, saying, for consumers, we can't really recommend it today. That's going to change probably in a month or two. That may change if you like a particular game that we're going to be talking about today. Like a lot of great stuff like that. But we're going to talk about it because I know our guest actually has something to say about this as well. So we're going to be excited to get into that. In fact, Joy, you ready to get into our guest intro so we can bring them on in?
Yeah, come on, let's go.
All right, here we go, y'all. Balabanian, the director of photogrammetry for Puzzling Places, a popular jigsaw puzzling VR game for Quest, PSVR, and Apple Vision Pro. His work has been featured by DJI, Oculus Medium, and the Institute for the Future as a creative technologist pushing the medium in a new direction. His work is largely based around a 3D mapping technique called photogrammetry, which produces photorealistic 3D reconstruction of places from around the world. You can often find him hosting discussions about the science and design of virtual reality and spatial computing. Without further ado, let's welcome our special guest, Azad Balabanian. All right, there he is.
Welcome.
Hello. How's it going, guys?
Whoa, man. It's good to see you on the Spatially Aware Podcast, man. Thank you so much for joining in. How you feeling today?
Not bad. Yeah, I'm testing out this new persona that I had to capture with the visionOS 1.1. So, don't know. Let's see. It feels a little stiff, but I think the truth is nobody likes their own persona, and everyone else is like, oh, it looks fun. It looks like you know. So that's just kind of how it goes.
Right.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, we're still getting used to it too, and just getting used to the fact of the cool factor of being able to wear this, talk to you, and there's no cameras on, there's no microphone in front of us. I think we all probably got AirPods in. Joy's sitting on the couch, I'm sitting on the couch. This is new to us.
Just chilling.
And when they let us change the backgrounds, like our background, like how it looks, I will be a happy camper. You may never see me on camera again. I'm just gonna be honest.
That'll be nice.
Oh man, but listen, we want to get into some awesome questions, and this is where Joy really takes over and steals the show and really gives us some incredible stuff. So Joy, let's go ahead and jump into these incredible questions.
Yes, well, again, thank you so much and welcome to Spatially Aware. Well, our first question is, what does spatial computing mean to you?
So, I've been thinking about this stuff for a long time, and I've been pushing. I've been like I feel like not too many people in the VR space were really pushing for like productivity and like personal computing in a VR sense as
Hmm.
like the main killer use case for a long time. I think games have been a big thing, movies and films and documentaries have been a big thing, but like I feel like I was taking crazy pills being like, no, virtual desktop is like the killer use case of VR. I'm like, I just want to, because I do a lot of also stereoscopic filmmaking, and for that you need to see things in stereo, and like the best way to really do that is just to edit in VR and actually look at the preview in stereo. So to me that was like, I just want to have Premiere Pro open, on one screen and then like the actual stereo thing on the other, and that's like my personal computing use case. So spatial computing is basically just a term for that. It's that you're doing your computing needs, your personal computing, your work, your productivity, all that stuff, in an environment that's unbounded from a 16:9 monitor, which is what we're used to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the dream, is like software can take up as much space as it needs. Windows don't need to be 16:9. Your Windows aren't so competing in terms of like where they're placed, and that software can kind of take up as much space as it really needs, compared to what we're used to. So that's the idea.
Nah, man,
Love
that's
that.
incredible. See, virtual desktop we were late to that. We were late to that. First of all, we didn't have a powerful enough PC at the time when we bought Quest, so that was like the holdup. But we just thought it was only for VR. But
Right.
eventually,
Right.
when we started getting into work, shout out to Immerse as well. We started getting into Immerse
Yeah.
and doing the multiple monitors, and I know Guy is working on something like that as well. So shout
Right.
out to Guy. Shout out to all the developers out there doing crazy things and making spatial computing happen. Because I actually
Yeah.
listened
Yeah.
to a AWE keynote where spatial computing, the term came up in like 2018, and I'm like, I didn't realize people have been
It's
using
like,
that
what?
term for so long.
Yeah, I think probably Magically was one of the bigger companies that was really trying to hold on to that, the term spatial computing. What it was, I was going through my old tweets. I think I found one from like 2015, 2016, where I was like just pontificating with people, being like, what is going to be the term that people will use? Because I was like, virtual reality is too limited. It's too like, it's loaded. It's a loaded term, and I was like, maybe it's mixed reality, maybe it's spatial computing, and we're just throwing these terms around. But I definitely, obviously, I didn't come up with it. It was like, it was a term that people were talking about, but it wasn't like established as that. This is what we're calling it. So Apple, being Apple, was, writes the rules for certain things, and they're like, all right, this Kleenex is going to be called Kleenex now, and we're going to be calling it spatial computing.
That's very true, because I don't know other than tissue. I call Kleenex everything Kleenex. I
Pretty
love
much.
that, man. I know, and that's the power of branding for sure. So
Yeah.
for sure, I don't know. When I think about spatial computing, I also think about when I was thinking about like the Meta Quest and other devices that we own. I wasn't originally thinking about it as a computing device. I know general computing was something that people would use the term a lot, like general computing. But now that spatial computing is there, it's like I want to call all of it, like anything that's putting stuff in space.
Yeah.
It's now a spatial computer in so many words. But Vision Pro is the first one I feel like that's brought it to the market like it should be.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the first one that really focused on like computing, right? Like, what do you do in a computer? It's like, I want to have a browser open, I want to have a text thing, I want to be able to message people back and forth. It's like it's actually a computer in that sense. So it's the first one that it's really focused on that as the use case. Also, multitasking. We haven't had multitasking in VR ever, really. So this is the
Hmm.
first time that that's happening, and so that's what makes a computer. Is like you don't just have one app open, you have a few.
And that actually leads us into our next question as far as how do you personally use Vision Pro on a daily basis?
Yeah. So for me, obviously, puzzling places is a big one, because like that's the game that we're developing and testing and
Hmm.
making videos, marketing, etc. The thing I found myself using it more, I'm still figuring it out, to be honest. Like just today, I needed
Hmm.
to write like a long document, like a design document about a product or like a feature we're working on for puzzling places, and I needed to think through all the things to it, all the angles or whatever, and I was like, ooh, this is maybe a good opportunity. I want to just sit on the couch and pull up my laptop, and you know my laptop is a
Yeah.
small MacBook Air, so it's that when I have the virtual display open in the Vision Pro, it's actually already higher resolution and bigger than what I can
Wow.
work with, which isn't true
Yeah.
with other MacBooks. Like if you have a MacBook Pro, I think it's already at that same resolution, so you're like it's going to be 1-to-1. So with my
Mm-hmm.
Air, I'm like, okay, this is already better. So I started writing, but then I realized, um, I don't know what it was, but I ended up taking the headset off and then just continued typing. I was like, "Oh, this is nice. This is better." Because like, not that I'm like looking at my fingers, but like it's
Mm-hmm.
when the vertical field of view of the headset is already limited. It's you
Yeah.
can't really see your finger placement as well. So I was like, okay, maybe typing isn't honestly. I mean, it's definitely not the strongest suit for Vision Pro. Like, forget the keyboard. Right? If you're trying to do virtual typing or whatever, it's a nightmare. Just I think that question hasn't really been solved yet, but um, clearly what the use case really has been for most people has been media consumption, watching movies, and
Yeah.
that wasn't so. I wouldn't say that was like a given, because people have been pushing watching movies in VR for
Say
years,
that.
right? Sorry.
I was saying, say that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's been big screen VR, there's been, a bunch of other apps that are like focusing on movie watching experiences, but it's not like that's like the thing that everyone does in VR, because it's still
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable, it's still like the content's limited or whatever. But like Apple being I forgot how good Apple is at like optimizing listening to music and watching movies on all their devices. Like iPhones are great at that, iPads are great at that, all that stuff. So um I should have known that Vision Pro is also going to be great at doing that, and they nailed it, right? Like the movie watching
Yeah.
experience is fantastic, and I've watched a couple of movies in here already, especially like the 3D stuff is really, that's where it really shines. So
Most definitely.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out on a plane. I already used it on a train like last week, and that was pretty cool. I had my laptop with me, so that's.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of where things are. I think, unfortunately, I'd say to a certain extent, I wish it could do more, but
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
what we were saying in our review. Right now it's not that many options that we have to do with this particular device. However, we are super excited for developers like yourself to
yeah.
be able to create more things to do. So we're super excited about that.
For sure. Yeah, it's very it's bare, right? Like the app store is like limited. There's only what like 1,000 apps, and like probably half of them
Yeah.
are just stuff built in the simulator
It's
and
just
never really
clocks.
tested in
Yeah, it's
VR.
just
It's just
clocks.
clocks for sure. And to be honest, that just shows we need the clocks, right? Like I wish I had a
Yeah.
clock, so I had to download a clock, and now I'd like place it above me, but every time I recenter it, anyway, that stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the
Yeah,
most like beta thing Apple has ever produced, right?
for sure.
Absolutely.
And we've
Yeah.
we've owned collectively owned every iPhone, every iPad, every Apple Watch, every Mac, and when they switched to Silicon Mac, everything we've done.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, this is pretty bad for
Yeah.
day one. However, we've got to talk about. You said something about media consumption. Me and Joy had the
Hmm.
most magical experience. A lot of people have been talking about share play or the lack thereof of multiplayer or shared
Hmm.
experiences, but you can FaceTime on certain things like Disney movies and
Yeah.
things like that. We put Elemental on and was watching it in
Oh, it
3D,
was
and we were
incredible.
like,
Nice.
we went to the movie theater to see this movie in
Yeah.
3D, and we are like, this is
Oh,
a
cool.
total different 3D, and it
Yeah.
feels good. And then of course those spatial videos. In preparation, me and Joy did we shot some videos before having the Vision Pro, and just going back and
Hmm.
Hmm.
seeing those videos. Now we will say that capturing on device is much better than what you get from
Yeah.
15 Pro, but I mean that's kind of to be understood. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, we need developers,
So
developers,
for
developers,
sure, for
developers.
sure. And and also they need to go deeper into the AR stuff. Like there's not really much AR, right? It's
Yeah.
it's all just floating windows, and the only AR stuff that exists is like your MacBook gets tracked when you open it. It says like connect, and that kind of
Yeah,
gets tracked to your computer, but there isn't much beyond that yet. But I think the way you remember the early iPhones, like the first few iOSs, the first few iPhones that came out, every year was like a huge leap in the amount of
yep,
features that got developed for it. And so I like what I'm excited for is like the next 4 years of visionOS updates. Like I think they're just going to
absolutely.
be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Um, By the way, speaking of spatial, I work a lot on stereoscopic photos and videos as well, just personally, not even part of Puzzling Places. And I've been
Mhm.
taking 3D photos for years, and I've been doing these with like
Ooh.
a single camera with like super wide. Basically, the distance between the cameras have been big, so that I can
Okay.
capture depth that's like miles away, like stuff that you can see down the mountain range, stuff that you can't even see
Wow.
in real life because your eyes are, only so far apart. And I've
Mhm.
been doing stuff with drones and stuff, so you really capture a lot of depth. And I've put them
Oh, cool.
online. I put it on YouTube. Nobody's cared because there hasn't really been any way to good way to watch these things apart from like maybe the YouTube app, and then in the YouTube app you got to do something to get it, got to get into the right thing. Now I can just convert these things to spatial videos, and I've been iMessaging it to people, just sending it, and they're like, "What the hell? Like, well,
Oh,
this is
super
amazing!" And I'm like,
cool.
"Yeah." So to me, that was actually one of the things I wanted to buy it for it, because as a stereographer, I was like, "This is Apple is making stereo photos and videos cool again, which hasn't really been done in like since like 100 years ago." Because 100 years ago, they used no, I'm not even joking. 100 years ago, there were just old people, Victorian people in Victorian dresses and hats and stuff buying these stereo photos, and they're looking at it in their little stereoscopes, and that was so cool, and that hasn't been cool since then. So it's now kind of coming back, and I'm like, yes, finally, it's our time to shine. So
That's right,
yeah.
Michelle. That's awesome stereographer. Yeah, like that is it's
Thanks, Michelle.
good perspective. It's like one of the things that we love about our space is just all the different talent that is coming in.
Yeah.
And I think Apple has there's a quote about technology and liberal arts kind of meeting on this path, and that's one of the things we love about Vision Pro is that we're going to begin to see new ways of people creating things and doing things that we've never seen. And back to the AR thing, I just to petition. I'm a point if I can get the camera to see my hand. Apple, um, we need to just let us port AR kit things straight over. If we possibly
Yeah,
it just give. I mean, there's
just
a
do it.
huge library of apps that could benefit from just having AR kit coming in. Like that would be incredible. Okay, all right.
Yep,
Just wanted
yep.
to put that out there.
Isn't that
So that
crazy that
goes
none of
into.
it? Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead,
go
Joy.
ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, no. I was just saying, isn't that crazy that all the ARKit apps, none of them work in Vision Pro? Like, because we thought that was like how they were going to build the
That's what we
apps for
thought.
Vision
That's what we
Pro.
thought. They were literally building the library just for this. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
man. Ah, when it comes to porting or bringing Puzzling Places to Vision Pro platform, what was the process behind it?
So yeah, I'll be speaking more for my colleagues here who work directly on the port. Like I was not really as deeply involved as they were. Um, so and there's actually a good talk that I can refer to you guys. So the main designer and also like the CEO of the company did a little 30-minute talk that's specifically about the design of how we approach Puzzling Places on Vision Pro. But it's mostly stems from like the fact that visionOS, first of all, is a different operating system, and the fact that you have multitasking, and the fact that you can, you don't have controllers. That's a big thing. And that you have eye tracking and you have like finger tracking. Those are different interaction models that you can use. And so it was pretty clear from the start that it can't just be the same game as it is on Quest and PlayStation VR. You have
Yeah.
different input methods, and also to take advantage of like the multitasking aspect of Vision OS, it was like, okay, we should use this volume app concept rather than a fully immersive app, and which meant you don't really interact with things directly. You're not grabbing the puzzle pieces and putting it together, but you're rather looking at the piece, pinching on it from afar, and then bringing it and connecting it. And then we also like really changed the design of the game so that rather than giving you all, like, let's say 100 pieces like a normal puzzle where you have to like sort all the pieces first, put the colors together, and then put all the puzzle together, here it's like you start with a central puzzle piece, and then you have 4 pieces next to it that will all connect directly to whatever is in the middle. The indirect design, so like it's less about grabbing pieces, putting it together, much more flow based, where we give you pieces that we know will connect to the middle. It also made it so that we can kind of build a narrative through the puzzle, because the puzzle starts with a single piece in the middle, and that's like where the puzzle will start, and then the pieces we're giving you will connect to it, and then it will grow into something that you're not really aware of what it will
Yes.
grow into, and it
Mm-hmm.
ends in like whoa, like this. I didn't expect for this to be the final result. And like one example is in the third puzzle that's in the base game. By the way, it's free to download on Vision Pro, called Puzzling Places. So to go check that out. The third puzzle is called it's like this big French monastery on an island called Mont Saint Michel, and it started at the top of the chapel there with like the steeple, and then you build downwards, and then you like build a whole city around it, and then you build a forest behind the monastery, and then you build like the fortress walls, and then you build the ground, and it's like this whole long story that you didn't really know where it's starting, where it's ending. You don't even know what you're really building, and it's kind of like it was like a nice narrative, it's a fun departure from what we're building with Puzzling Places on the Quest. So yeah, it's a very different
Yeah.
game.
I gotta say, it was a day one download. It was so cool to see a app that we love on the MetaQuest platform. Day
Yeah, to
one
see how it
on,
Yeah,
transfers over is incredible.
yeah, yeah. So we
for
just want
sure.
to give you some good claps. Give you some good claps. Because it's not easy. I actually got a chance. Me and Joy was relaxing one day in the car, going to get some food. We were listening to a podcast that was someone from your team talking
Hmm.
about it was like a 2 month build. Like it wasn't something that was like you guys were doing for months on end. It was literally
Yeah,
for 2 months.
it
Yeah,
really
that's
was.
super
It was
impressive.
like end of probably end of last year was the beginning of it, and then led into January. We also didn't really know when it was coming out, so we like had to hustle and get just be ready, because we were like, we need to be ready on day one, because that's going to be our chance to be there. We're a small studio. We're probably going to be competing against the bigger guys, so it's like a make or break. And that, probably similar thing with Quest was we we weren't rushing to get it out on Quest initially, but in retrospect, looking back at it, the fact that we had a demo on SideQuest in the beginning of 2020 was how we also stood out from a bunch of other, like there weren't very many games on the Quest in 2019 and 2020, especially on the
Yeah.
store. So we were yeah,
Oh,
we
we
had really
remember
solid. Would you guys play the old prototype on SideQuest?
on SideQuest.
Side
Yes.
Yeah.
quest.
Hell yeah. So that's where it started for us, and we realized that because there aren't that so many good games on the store, people are going to SideQuest to find new
Mm-hmm.
things. And
Yes.
so like we're like, let's capture that attention there so that we have some base, some community base that we can tell Oculus or whatever to, like, hey, we're not just some randoms building some random game, like we built something that people
Absolutely.
want. So that's kind of our story there.
Absolutely, man. And look, we got El Michelle Media saying in the chat saying, love puzzling places on Quest. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. She had a bonus question
Thank you.
before we get into our next one. She said, how do you choose your puzzles? I'm a puzzle creator, so I was just
Ooh.
wondering.
Cool, you're a puzzle creator. Yeah, like 2D puzzle or 3D puzzle. So yeah, that's actually what I work on. Is nowadays mostly on puzzle production and content production, and like I lead our content team, and then I also do a lot of the reach outs to. Typically, we're so. Let me start over. We started with a lot of our own scans, stuff that I had scanned, stuff that we had scanned as a company, because it's not that common of a thing to do 3D scanning. It's still not. It's like still a very rare and special, thing that certain photographers do. And so we started with our own, but this was during COVID times, and which meant we couldn't really travel and go places to scan new things. So we're like, okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
start reaching out to people. Let's see who else is doing scanning. We found great partners. We found other photogrammetry creators, and we just started working with them. And that's kind of the place that we're at. It's like a combination of our own scans and partner scans. So how do we pick puzzles? We took us like a year and a half to just figure that out, to be like, okay, we can scan a lot of stuff. How do we what makes a good puzzle? So we had a whole Patreon campaign where we had people
Oh wow.
playtesting. Yeah, we were just putting together simple test puzzles, stuff that you could, scan pretty simply and make into a puzzle, and just throwing it at our players, being like, hey, play this. What do you think about that? And then we quickly realized the elements that we need to optimize so that we can make it like super fun. So we found that color is really important, lighting and shading, like having like directional lighting in the scene is really good, because
Hmm.
otherwise you don't know what side a piece is supposed to go on a puzzle. We found that having like chapters or like little segmented areas where, like, okay, this is the green grassy area, this is like the tower, this is the inside. That's really cool. We also realized people love like puzzles that have an interior and an exterior. So like if we 3D
Okay.
scan like say a monastery, we can 3D scan the inside of the chapel, the outside of the chapel with the drone, and then like the surroundings, and then you have this crazy 3D fully 3D puzzle that you wouldn't be able to play in any other way other than, in VR.
Oh
That
man.
stuff people
Yeah.
really dig. So that's what we try to focus on. Also, I have to do a quick shameless plug. Yesterday, we released a San Francisco puzzle pack. So it's made with,
Woo!
yeah, it's stuff that I scanned over the last few months. It started with me flying in a plane around San Francisco, trying to scan
Wow.
like the Golden Gate Bridge and things. Some of it didn't work out, unfortunately, because it's just really tough. But like it got combined with some ground scans and drone scans, and now we have like some beautiful puzzles from San Francisco. So if you're on Quest or PlayStation VR, I highly recommend checking out our latest monthly pack number 22, Streets of San Francisco.
Man, I
Ooh,
love it. So you're just a
that's
secret agent man.
exciting.
All right, that's gonna be your theme song from now on. Secret agent man. El
Exactly.
Michelle said this is incredible. Wow.
Thank you.
Love to
Thank you,
hear
Mhm.
Michelle.
it. Love to hear it.
Thank you.
Yes, and so
We're
going into our next question, the MetaQuest platform has a multiplayer component that is incredible. And so, are
Yeah.
there any plans to bring a shared puzzling place into Vision Pro?
Yeah, we certainly would like to. It's definitely a different. So here's the deal. When we built the Vision Pro version of Puzzling Places, we basically started from scratch, because we built Puzzling Places in Unreal Engine, which doesn't really
Okay.
have
Mm-hmm.
such good support with Vision Pro yet. You might have heard about the whole Tim Apple versus Tim Sweeney like beef. So
Free
so I'm sure they're
Fortnite. Free Fortnite.
yeah, exactly. So I'm sure they're not like dying to work together on this thing just yet. So Unity has been like the main platform that Vision Pro. If you want to build a game, you got to use Unity for Vision Pro. So we rebuilt the game from scratch in Unity, and that's also why it's a very different game. Is we took that opportunity to be like, okay, if we're gonna have to redo it, might as well maybe try to rethink of it and take some opportunity. So currently
Yeah.
we're in like a holding phase, trying to figure out, okay, what should we do here? Do we want to continue developing on like two separate branches, right?
Wow.
And which
Yeah.
is very difficult. You don't want to maintain two separate things, or do we want to combine
Hmm.
it, or how do we combine it? So we're figuring things out. But the Vision Pro, Vision OS is a very new platform. It has very few users. You've probably heard the rumored numbers, and I don't know if they're true, but probably more or less. We weren't expected to have huge numbers. I mean, even given all that, like we're doing pretty good in the reviews on Vision OS, even compared
Awesome.
to other games that Apple's been promoting. Like we've just, this is guerrilla marketing, right? Nobody has really promoted us,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and we've just been like, players have found us in the App Store, or like we've been trying to get on lists on YouTube, or like other whatever publication lists, and that's how we've been like able to be there. So, but even then, it's we're a company that we have to survive based on revenue. We're not like constantly raising money from investors to just pay the bills. So we have to pay the bills with revenue. So currently with
Yeah.
the Vision Pro, it's an expensive thing to develop. We're figuring it out. We're trying to see what we want to do with it. But yeah, at the moment, the main things we've done with the Vision Pro app is launch it. Obviously, it's for free. You have 3 beautiful puzzles in there. That's what you're seeing on the screen. And then we also launched a single DLC pack, which is has 3 new puzzles that are also higher piece counts, and so it's like honestly 2 to 3 hours of gameplay, or even more, to play through
Wow.
the DLC pack, and it's really really fun. The scans are like incredibly detailed. It honestly is one of the best use cases if you want to see sharp stuff on the Vision Pro with these incredibly dense the incredibly dense displays on the Vision Pro like play puzzling places because you're using
Mm-hmm.
really detailed scans in there, and it makes great use of the display. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, man. We love it. Show said, love puzzling places, especially in early quest days. Solve the feeling of travel. Later added multiplayer and work the brain. Walkabout and puzzling places are must-haves. I always would suggest. Thank you,
thank you,
Show, for tuning
Yes.
in and
thank
giving
you,
us that feedback. That's
thank
really
you.
cool to hear because Vision Pro is become daily in our household. So the more we want to
Mm-hmm.
see more and more. So I know there's a shared
Yeah,
experience is something that people are begging for. Like, how can we have that? And I
Oh
don't feel like
yeah.
Apple, those APIs have quite been released, or they might be kind
all
of
right.
in a like beta area right now. So whenever
I
that
think
does happen, I think that's gonna be huge.
yeah, people haven't done too much with it, but I have to say the whole share play stuff or just FaceTiming in Vision Pro is probably one of the best use cases outside of watching movies. So I've
Oh
done this
yeah.
with a bunch of people, a bunch of like random other nerds that got their Vision Pros, and so you call each other, right? You're FaceTiming, you just want to see how the FaceTime thing works, and then you end up just chilling, like just hanging out. Like you start doing your own thing,
Oh
they start doing
yeah.
their own thing, and then you're like, oh, take a look at this, and then above each app there's a share button, and you can just
Yep.
press that, and it just
Mm-hmm.
streams that. It's like Discord. So I found myself like spending 3 hours, chilling with friends, talking and like either sharing stuff, or then one of them would be like, "Hey, let's watch like an Apple TV thing together," and then you could do the share
Yeah.
play watching, and then like I found that to be very similar to like a Discord like voice chat where you can just chill
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
Discord and like just
Yes.
hang out. So I think Apple nailed that, and that's probably going to be a big part of like Vision Pro. Um, in terms of general usage is just chilling with friends and doing stuff like that.
That's what me and Joy
Yes.
doing every day, man. We're just in here playing. We got
Yes.
videos playing with Uno and Chill Hop at the same time. This is it's incredible. It's incredible.
That's
Yes,
nice.
and sorting through a whole bunch of emails. But
Yes.
going on to our next question. So, would you recommend to other developers, existing developers, to bring their XR experiences to the Vision Pro platform?
I'd say yeah, for sure, because Vision Pro is going to grow, right? It's Apple. It's Apple at scale, and you can kind of count on the price of the headset coming down considerably over the next few generations.
Yeah.
I would just assume that, right? Like it's not going to stay at $3,500 forever, and this was just like their starting point, and they knew it was going to be few units, so this was a way of like balancing that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And given that, you should also know you're not going to make much money on the Vision Pro currently. Like there's probably only a handful of apps that have made any sort of significant amount of money on the Vision Pro, and that doesn't
Mhm.
really include us. I'd even say like even though we're doing pretty good in terms of downloads and stuff, but like I it's not gonna like the Quest is still like such a huge part of our revenue source that like the Vision Pro isn't
Oh
going to
Yeah.
change
yeah.
that in the next 6 months or even the next year. The generation 3 or 4 is when I really think when like most people it'll be ready for most people to buy. Like I totally would agree with you. I wouldn't recommend anyone to really buy this. Like people that
Yeah.
would enjoy this probably already bought it. That's where we're at.
Exactly.
Maybe
Exactly.
Yeah.
maybe with like the next visionOS update, like visionOS 2, I mean, when they probably announce that in the next sometime this year or whatever, but I don't know. I'm just speculating, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
there'll
Mhm.
be maybe another bump because there'll be some new functionality that'll be like appealing to people, but for the most part, like it's still a big, expensive, uncomfortable headset, and like that's not changing with with this thing. So, but it also pays, or it pays off to be early in certain things.
Yes.
If you have a stronghold initially, when you're not competing against others because others aren't in because there's no money to be made. Maybe if
Yep.
you like establish your own thing, maybe it help pays off. But yeah, you have to figure out how to make that math work because you're not going to make much money. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and that's
That's
what
it.
we always tell people too, that you always have to come into these environments with a plan and with a purpose. And so
Right.
if you have those two things in place, you're going to be successful, but it's an investment. You can't
Yeah.
being the millionaire the next day from
For
it.
sure.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Same thing with VR
Absolutely.
too. VR has kind of grown now a bit. People are making decent money with VR, but
Yeah.
even 3-4 years ago, it was like, man, you're not going to make, nothing. You're basically, it was like either you're going to make money on
Yeah.
Steam, which was already
Yeah.
you're competing with like all the normal flat games, and then when the Quest
Mm-hmm.
launched, if you were lucky enough that you got in the store, then you could maybe make some sales, but still, it was like very few numbers. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you're either go early and there isn't that much money to be made, but like you can establish yourself, or you go late and then you're competing with more players or with
Right.
more developers. So you have to. I tell people this is as easy as it will ever be to like enter the space, because
Come
the
on.
more we go on,
Mm-hmm.
no, but like, and it's difficult enough already, like, but the point is that like
Yeah.
as time goes on, there's more money to be made, but there's more also developers that you're competing with, and more like AAA developers. So if you're new to
Yeah.
this, I think you should be realistic, and you should take advantage of the fact that there's not so many people in the space. So
Absolutely.
yeah, come up with an idea and make something.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I wish I would have came up with the idea to make a bonfire app. That was I bought that app day one. Joy,
Yeah.
we was FaceTime and I showed her my screenshot. Like, what are you doing with a
I was
fire
like,
in
what
your
is that?
environment?
Yeah.
It's just an ambience, baby. It's just an
That's
ambience.
cool. I
and
gotta
look,
check that out. What's it called?
it's literally called bonfire.
Bonfire.
Bonfire. Okay.
Literally called
Okay.
bonfire. Yeah,
Nice.
Show had a question. He said, should Apple add controllers eventually, or do you like the lane that AVP is carving as a productivity entertainment device with light gaming?
Should they add like controllers? So I think the core interaction of Vision Pro being hands and eyes definitely isn't going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, okay, so let's take the iPad as the best example here. iPad is core interaction is still look and touch things, but
Yep.
they did add
Mm-hmm.
keyboards and they added a stylus. So,
Yeah.
but as a developer, you can't. I mean, yeah, you can't assume that all your users will have either or both of those. So you still have to
Right.
build things with touching as the main interface. But they realized like as it got bigger, there's more kind of little niche things you can carve out, and so you have apps like Procreate, which is all about like using the stylus and painting and,
Yep.
doing that, or even writing apps where you can take full advantage of the keyboard and trackpad. So I probably see that coming to visionOS 2, and in fact there already is that with the trackpad. Is you can use an actual mouse, right, as like a normal mouse
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
in the thing, and so in terms of controllers, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some tracking support that gets either hacked into it or if even released from on Apple's side, but I don't see
Yeah.
games fundamentally really like native visionOS games being like so controller based.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have already seen there's like people building ALVR to stream
Yep.
normal Steam VR games right to the Quest, and they're using index controllers or any Lighthouse based controllers. I even saw someone using the Quest
A
Pro
Quest Pro.
controllers.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty neat. But again, I can see that maybe growing a bit, but like I wouldn't like target that to be the main thing that your app relies upon, because it's like already such a small market. You're just gonna narrow it down to just even less people. So yeah, Apple
Absolutely.
wants
That's good
things to be
advice.
simple. Yeah, they're not a big game. They're not a game console. They're not gonna build an Xbox controller. Like that's what the Quest did, and the Quest is a gaming
Absolutely.
headset. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And so this moves on to our final question of the evening. What features do you want to see to enhance the spatial computing experience on Vision Pro and other future spatial computing devices?
Yeah, I want
All right.
the my mouth to be better tracked. I feel like your guys' mouths are so good,
Yes.
by the way. My mouth is just like super. I think it's the beard or like my mustache above is like limiting the fidelity of my mouth moving correctly. Also, I just look like I'm just like skeptical this whole time. I'm just like, like I'm just
Look, I
not in
feel
a
like
very.
I've been confused the whole time, looking confused. So,
Yeah.
hey.
Maybe that's
And I just look like
everybody.
I've been smiling the whole time, but
Dude,
I'm
you
with it,
guys
man.
look just happy and cheery and smiley. Like I'm trying hard to smile right now, and it's just like this is as good as it's gonna get. You guys have beautiful smiles. Well, okay.
Oh, thank
Spatial
you.
computing wise, for sure we need window management. Like, as soon as you open up 2 or 3 apps, you're just like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I need to do like push things around. And I would imagine that's probably coming soon. They have this they even have it on iPads now with the Stage Manager. So
Right.
I imagine that to come. To be honest, kind of surprising that they shipped even without that. Like they shipped without
Yeah.
so many basic OS functionality features that we're used to, which just goes to show like how difficult it is to build a VR platform.
Absolutely.
Basically.
So yeah, it is. It's like impossible. Even Apple, with all its infinite money, and they've been developing this for how many years, even they launched something as limited of an operating system as visionOS is. So that's kind of cool. Then
Yeah.
what else?
Come on, it's your chance to dream big, man. It's your chance to dream big.
I know. I'm just thinking like really small. I'm like, just fix this bug, fix that bug. But I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of worried, honestly. Part of me is a little worried that the Vision Pro it's going to be a bigger iPad. It's like an infinite iPad rather than an infinite MacBook. Like there's
Oh, see, I
Apple's still
never
trying
thought
to,
about it like that. Yeah, that puts stuff into perspective.
like in terms of the productivity that it allows you to
Yeah.
do. It's still in the iPad world because obviously you're still using iPad apps, and also like even the Vision Pro apps are all iPad-like. They're they're not so Mac-y. So, and then when you bring in your Mac Virtual Display, you're like, I can do so much on like the smallest thing, right? The smallest real estate. And then you look at a Vision OS app and an iPad app, and you're just like, the text takes up so much space, and like there's you can't do too much, and like there's no file manager like you have on a computer. And I'm like kind of worried that this thing is going to go down, like, because watching movies is so good on this, and that's what also iPads are great for, that it falls into just like, let's keep it as an
like a
infinite
little
iPad.
entertainment device
Yeah.
instead
Don't
of
do that to
the
me.
productivity working device.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
like-
All right. I'm getting both of y'all off the screen. I just want to say, Apple, please bring Logic and please bring Final Cut.
Yeah,
we put
I
it
saw
in the
that your
video.
review.
Like we need that ASAP. All right.
For
All right. I'll just
sure.
get off of it.
But no, we do need that. And like, if you go back and look at all the concepts that all the VR people had been making about AR for the last 10 years, it's all like crazy ideas about like everything, like the things being really grounded in your room and like understanding your room, on like even just controlling let's say you have like hue lights, like the internet based lights, like to look at your light and like control it that way. Like that doesn't exist. Will it exist? I mean, probably, maybe it will come at some point, connects with your Apple Home system or whatever.
Listen, our home is already every
Say
single
it,
light.
Joy.
It's
We have
already
48. We have 48 HomeKit
Yeah.
enabled
God.
things in our home.
Yo, you guys
Cameras,
are deep.
lights. Oh yeah, that's what I said. We're in the walled garden. We're stuck in the walled garden, man. But no, I thought the
That would
same
be
thing.
so
Can I just
cool.
look at my lamps and go, all right, come on, turn on. That would be really cool. I'm certain those things are coming, but
Yeah,
just not here yet.
for sure. I feel like a lot of the pie in the sky ideas that we came into this industry with are like kind of getting pushed back, and like our creativity and our imagination is like being very limited, which also makes sense because those pie in the sky ideas assumed so many things to be given, like, oh, you can just wear a pair of Ray-Bans eyeglasses and it has like the best optics in there, and like it looks like an Oculus Quest, but like in the smallest thing possible. And it's just like that just doesn't work that way. Where's the battery? How do you like? Anyway, there's like a lot of problems with that. And Yeah, let's see how things turn out. I mean, gaming clearly is it's doing well in VR, so that's cool. That's going to continue to
Mhm.
grow, and it will. I mean, I've been also pushing virtual desktop as a thing because I can see this replacing monitors because it can be the
Mm-hmm.
best looking display
Yeah.
that you have, the highest refresh rate, the most light and color controlled thing for video and photo editing or even gaming. You don't want to have to worry about like light glare behind you. So
Right.
I think those if we can nail those things and also it's a comfortable headset, which the Vision Pro is not, I think that's like good enough as is. But there's so much more, we can go down
Absolutely.
and I've lost that
Yes.
imagination a bit of like the pie in the sky ideas. I'm just like, just give me a stereoscopic monitor that I can edit my stereo videos on and a FaceTime call and I'm chilling.
And
Absolutely.
that's what I
Absolutely.
appreciated about this entire call is that we're saying exactly what everyone's dying to know. We're being raw and uncut with it and telling people the truth that it's not where it's
Right.
what we want it to be, but it's going to get there and it takes time. But we
Yeah.
really appreciate you, chiming in on this conversation
Yes.
and really telling us exactly the nitty gritty of Puzzle in Places because we love it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's
Yes.
right. But listen, y'all, it's been great having you on Spatial Aware. Azad, please let us know where they can find more information about you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, Twitter is kind of my main platform where I like to talk and engage with people. So if you got Twitter, find me at Azadux. It says it right there. Also have some work on Instagram and not really on TikTok, but I try. We'll get there at some point. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter if you want to talk about 3D scanning, drones, stereo photos, videos, or all things Vision Pro now.
Love it, love it, love it. Enjoy. Where can people connect with you?
You can always find me at JoyReign VR on all social media platforms. But again, as we always say, thank you so much for tuning in to Spatially Aware. And JDun, let the people know where they can find you as well.
You can find my persona on this beautiful podcast and Getting Things Done YouTube channel with my lovely wife. And I's gonna check in with her sometimes. Yeah. Listen, y'all.
Hell yeah.
It's been a great show. We appreciate you guys again being on this amazing platform with us again. And everyone, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to be back with another great episode of the Spatially Aware Podcast. Until next time,
Bye, y'all.
peace.